the heart of Nemi village, Somadina and Regina grew up as the best of friends, inseparable since childhood. The village bustled with life, but it was in their shared dreams of the future that they found true happiness. Their love blossomed under the African sun, with promises whispered between laughter and long walks by the riverbanks. Soma was determined to rise above his humble background, constantly working hard and finding ways to support Regina's education. Regina too had big dreams, and Soma stood by her every step of the way. They shared everything: joys, burdens and hopes for a future far brighter than the one they were born into. The village elders smiled at their love, believing it would withstand the tests of time. But little did they know, outside forces were already moving against them. Regina's mother, Ada, had grown up in the same village, but with an overwhelming fear of poverty. She saw Regina as the key to escaping the life of struggle they had always known. "You cannot live like this forever," Ada would say, her voice filled with desperation. She had learned that wealth could be a savior, and the only way to attain it in her mind was for Regina to marry into a well family. So when Ned Nuko, a powerful politician and business tycoon in his 60s, began to show interest in Regina, albeit through his son Ibuka, Ada pushed hard for her daughter to accept the offer. Regina was torn. She loved Soma deeply, but her mother's constant pressure filled her with guilt. "I want more for you," Ada would plead, "don't be like me." Regina felt the weight of generations pressing down on her shoulders, suffocating her dreams of a simple life with Soma. Her love for Soma began to war with the fear of letting her family down. When Regina finally made her decision, it felt like the world collapsed for both her and Soma. Standing on the dusty road that led to the town, Regina held back tears as she explained her mother's insistence that she marry Ibuka. "I have no choice, Soma," she whispered, her heart breaking as she spoke. Soma, stunned and silent, watched the love of his life walk away. His heart ached with a pain he had never known, and the once bright future he envisioned with Regina now seemed to dissolve into nothingness. He couldn't understand why she would choose wealth over love, but in his heart he knew the pressure of her mother weighed heavily. As she disappeared into the distance, Soma fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the loss of the woman he had given everything for. Days turned into weeks, and Soma threw himself into his business, hoping work could heal his broken heart. Regina's life in the Noko mansion was far from the paradise her mother had promised. Though she was now married to Ned Nuko after Ibuka's tragic death, she felt like a prisoner. The luxury surrounding her was cold comfort in the absence of love. She hated the large, empty rooms, the extravagant lifestyle that felt alien to her, and most of all, the man she now called her husband. Ned was kind, but he could never fill the void left by Soma. Regina felt trapped in a life she hadn't chosen, living with regrets that haunted her every day. She was surrounded by wealth, but starved of the affection and happiness she had once shared with Soma. The smiles she wore in public were masks, hiding the truth of a heartbroken woman who had traded her soul for a life she didn't want. Soma had nearly lost everything after Regina left him, but the strength within him refused to let his life end in despair. Nancy Izim, a woman with fierce determination and an understanding heart, had come into his life when he least expected it. Together they rebuilt what he had lost. His business, once crumbling, now flourished under their partnership. Soma's love for Nancy grew steadily, healing his heart in ways he had never thought possible after Regina's betrayal. In time, his life became richer than he had ever imagined. He now had the success he had always worked for, and a love that stood beside him, supportive and strong. Regina was a distant memory, a painful lesson, but one that pushed him to rise above his darkest moments. Together, Soma and Nancy built a future brighter than any he had dreamed with Regina. Years later, Regina returned to the village to confront her mother. The weight of her decisions hung heavily on her. "Mama, I have everything you wanted for me, but I am empty," she said, her voice heavy with emotion. Adeas, now older and frailer, could only offer tears in response. She had pushed Regina into a life of misery, believing it was for the best. The wealth they had sought brought them nothing but hard touch. Regina's love for Soma had been sacrificed, and in the end, neither of them had found happiness. "I thought I was saving you," Adais whispered, guilt filling her eyes. Regina could say nothing more. The damage was irreversible. As they sat in the fading light of the day, the once bright spark in Regina's eyes had dimmed, leaving her only with the cold remnants of what could have been. "Who do you think is responsible for Regina's sad fate?" her mother, who pushed her into a life of wealth, or Regina herself, for not standing up for her love with Soma? Would you have made the same choice? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Like this video if you love it, subscribe and turn on post notification bell for more thrilling stories.